Rocket.
Nah.
Yeah. As the Coyote. I'm pretty sure his name was Coyote Ugly.
Yeah.
He goes and
it was such. I was
you.
like, wow. Like I didn't realize how subtle it wasn't when I was a kid, because then as a cartoon you see everything as Acme. I'm like, wow, it's sick product placement. Now Acme's forever ingrained in our heads. Now you can always go to an Acme store and buy stuff.
It's actually really smart, right?
Yeah. We should buy. You know what NASL should do? We should start buying sponsorship in cartoons. That's why kids grow up on NASL and they see like Wile E. Coyote 20 years later still running away from the NASL anvil dropping on his head.
Brilliant.
And it's like, wow. And they grow up and like, what's your favorite thing growing up? It's like, oh, NASL stuff. That's marketing.
Brilliant. It's Frodan.
It really is. I don't know why people are giving.
You're over 9,000 right now.
Whatever, man. Anyways, let's go into the game, Andre. I know I rag a lot on Mr. Bitter, but that's because Ben, one of my favorite guys to make fun of. Just because it's so easy.
Ben is one of my favorite guys, so when I make fun of him, it's like I'm making fun of a brother.
Yeah.
I say it.
He says he's more Asian than I am, too. That's what kind of blows my mind.
That sounds about right.
That's true. No one's more Asian than you, Andre.
Thank you.
He makes fun of me every time I print out these coupons to save like $1 or $2 at a store. Mr. Bitter.
He makes fun of you?
He makes fun of me.
Okay, I retract my statement. He's definitely not more Asian than you.
He's like, Ben, why do you make us wait 5 extra minutes just so you can get a couple of dollars saved? I'm like, Ben, you know if you save $2 every day for 60 years, you'll be a millionaire. He's like,
Boom.
No, it's actually $5. I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's all right. A penny saved is a penny earned. Clearly, Ben doesn't like to earn money.
You know who does like to earn money?
Who?
Strelok. He's going for a fast command center to get huge economy.
Something a little bit new to the scene. It's when you get a gateway. Oh, TT1, you stink. I love TT1, by the way. Him and me are like, just like Bitter. We are like the closest thing to brothers as you possibly can be. We've been on the same team forever together, on Team Fnatic, and also Team White.
Fighting for Sen's attention.
Fighting for no one wants Sen's attention.
Wow, so be it. But you know, we can see that Strelok has the attention of TT1. He's sending 2 probes to try to see if he can block that expansion. He does put down the engineering bay. Wow.
Now this should make sense to people. Some people are like, why the heck is he sending so many probes out here? Well, he's fully saturated his minerals, so it's kind of inefficient. Not inefficient, but you get reduced amounts of income from that. On top of that, he's not making the initial zealot, so he has room to spare, and he's just going to send a couple of probes. You're taking minor loss, but in the exchange for not having to make that first zealot.
It's not that big of a deal, but you can see that Strelok is just going to be playing macro at this point. Now, TT1 has quite some interest variations in this build. What are we owing about?
This is an interesting variation in the build. I think TT1's is a lot more standard.
Oh, no, I'm saying TT1's been showing interesting variations. He's been doing proxy robos and doing immortal pushes based off that. He's been doing like really interesting things on Ohana specifically. That's the game against Puma comes to mind. But just like you said, Strelok is making a very interesting variation, going for a quick reactor and a factory. Now, Andre, I've been telling you, you've been telling me, Hellions have been a big proponent of, I think, on ladder. We've been seeing a lot of Terrans experiment this against Protoss play. Is if Strelok goes for Hellions, what are your thoughts on that?
Not like this. Not like this. If you want to do that Hellion build, you have to go 1 base. You can't go 2 base.
Fair enough.
I don't think Hellions really work out like this just because it's very easy to get SimCity. You need to punish this time right now, 6 minutes into the game, where your opponent only has a single Stalker and Sentry, and you basically just run circles around him. You can kill sentries very easily, back up, don't take any more damage, repair, and go in with 2 more Hellions, and you're really good. TT1 playing this super greedy, by the way.
Yeah, going double forge after a 1 gate. Wow. He's gonna have like 2 Stalkers, a Zealot, and a Sentry with +1/+1.
Dude, this is what I
so
talk
funny
about with TT1 and him being a very abusive person. He basically he does this time and time again. He goes, let's assume these builds aren't going to be within my opponent's repertoire. Okay? He knows his opponent's styles and says, they're not going to do this. 3 racks, fake expansion, pressure. They're not going to go 1 base of any kind. Let's assume that they don't do any pressure. What can I do? What can I abuse with that knowledge? And this is exactly it.
Yeah. And now because TT1's going for those early upgrades, it's going to be really hard for any bio pushes, you know, mainly especially with those Marines, Guardian Shield early on. Very ineffective when you have +1 armor early. But we see Strelok going for a Cloak, Andre. Now this is a very interesting variation of the 2 barracks with Siege Tank and Banshee support. But Strelok, you know, he's been a guy that's been preparing a lot of specific builds for players. What is he trying to hit against TT1 specifically?
Probably the fact that TT1 is a very abusive person. And he says, okay, well, if I see an expansion, I'm not going to expect Banshee tech. Like, he does this all the time. And he just does not get a robotics facility. And that's going to obviously punish him so hard this game. Now, a robotics facility is starting up right now, but because, oh, look at this. The probe is actually going to see this. So cannons have to go up immediately.
Wow. And the Cloak is done. So Strelok can do a lot of significant economic damage. TT1 needs to save as many probes as he can. The biggest thing, if you see the Banshees, just immediately run, try to see if he can catch the Banshee out of position with Stalkers. But now Cloak has been revealed, and you can see immediately the Banshee has 4 kills. Now working on the Stalkers instead of the probes, trying to see if he can whittle them down. You can see the Observer is not even started yet because the robotics bay hasn't finished, but one cannon does get into position. But Strelok can still post himself right outside the middle line and pick off all his work.
Okay, so this didn't deal nearly as much damage as he needed it to. I'm actually going to say TT1 is ahead. He needs to start his 2-2, though. That's where his real advantage comes in. But this Banshee, even though it gets a total of 9 kills, you're pretty far into the game. And these 9 kills are a much lower percentage of your opponent's economy. And you don't have the capacity of following this up with too many other things.
Yeah, and now that TT1 has fended off the harass, at least he kept a lot of his probes alive. You know, surprisingly, he's at a pretty good number, and he can Chronos boost them out if he wants to. TT1 also has good upgrades. He's ahead of his opponent in upgrades. Blink is about to finish, a very critical upgrade indeed. Now, TT1 has been doing a lot of interesting plays in PvT. He's been faking thirds or going for really fast thirds, but you know, he's been trying to play a lot of mind games with his opponent. But going for double forge upgrades, especially when your opponent only has 1 engineering bay, can be so advantageous, especially if he goes for a timing based off that. And we've been seeing TT1 go for like that huge Colossus 2-base push against Terran a lot.
One thing about Strelok's build is that it's pretty safe in that the siege mode gives him a lot of security against different gateway openings. Strelok can't do this.
He's pushing?
Yeah, there's no timing here.
Oh, wow, the medevac caught a position. Oh, wow. That would have been a huge snipe.
One more hit. Yes.
Because that's one of 2 medevacs, and that gives Strelok a lot of mobility. Now, a lot of Protosses have been flirting with that idea, you know, picking off medevacs, trying to see if they can blink the Stalkers out just in time and really reduce the ability for Terran to stim. Otherwise, if they just take a lot of incurred damage, it's as if they took 1 Stalker shot every time they did that. Yeah,
TT1 has to be careful with his Stalkers, obviously. That's quite apparent. There's going to be a big 2-2 timing, by the way. I can't see TT1 not doing something off of this.
Yeah.
One thing, I think this is actually reacting to the position Strelok is taking right now because he's in the open here. And he knows, well, I've gone such an abusive build of getting upgrades so fast. I will have that 2-2 advantage. Let's punish my opponent right here for taking that. That's why he added on additional gateways. A total of 3 more gateways going up here to bring him to a total of 8? 8? Yeah, 8.
Yeah, you're right.
He has to do something here. He can't not. I mean, that would be the most inefficient thing possible. Strelok very intelligently backing up here. Wow, I wasn't actually expecting him to do that. It was so bold for him not to.
Yeah. To be out there on the map, if you take a faster third than your opponent, it's pretty risky. Especially if Strelok's getting caught out of position. But he's going to take a good position with his siege tanks. Now, the big thing is that TT1 does...
Uh-oh.
He's going to pick off these medevacs. A huge pick-off if he gets them. And he does. Oh, no. That's very bad for Strelok.
And not only that, now there's 2 different areas where TT1 can actually hit. And it's 2-2 against 1-1. Yeah, 1-1. There it is. And not only that, he has 8 gateways pumping from this. I think TT1, if he actually commits right here, he will win the game.
Yeah, he's got charge and blink. And that's a great way to deal, especially with siege tanks. And TT1 also can put up Guardian Shield and really reduce the amount of damage his units take, especially with that +2 armor. He does have his pylon in position. His Guardian Shield pops up. He's going to have his more charge forward, trying to absorb a lot of the siege tank damage. Zealots going forth. The Guardian Shield over to the right portion of the army. The Stalkers trying to prioritize the Banshees to make sure to reduce all of the air in the high grounds.
The power of 2-2 over 1-1. You can see it looked like there were just so many Terran units, but they evaporate in a matter of seconds. Great force fields will stop any further reinforcements. TT1 monstrously ahead in this game 1.
Yeah, and Strelok, his third, is going to be completely denied. TT1 can continue to force field. There it is. He's going to kill off the remainder of the SCVs clumped up there. Now, what's so powerful is that TT1 has done all of this while he's preparing a tech switch into Colossi. He's got a Colossus on the way. He's starting 3-3, and there's nothing, honestly, stopping him from taking a third base as well because he's got such an advantage on every front.
That's exactly right. And this whole time, what does Strelok have to do? Well, he lost so many medevacs. His gas allocation is going to go to Marauders and medevacs. That's all he's really thinking about right now. When these Colossus pop out, he's going to be very, very surprised. Strelok will probably be like, crap, I have the worst composition for these units. If TT1 pushes with 2 or 3 Colossus, I don't see any way for him to actually lose the game.
TT1 now has 1 Colossus on the way with Thermalance on the production tab. You can see that a few ghosts are on the way from Strelok. Strelok sees a lot of units with Twilight upgrades and Forge upgrades. What's the logical transition from that? You might expect Templar.
Yeah.
You can see Strelok is going for Ghost instead. He's incorporating some Vikings as well, but imagine if he funneled all of that gas instead into other things. He would have been able to hold off this push potentially.
Yeah, and oh no, the medevacs, they might, one of them gets severely lowered. But, you know, this timing is just looking so good. And look at this, a bottleneck. Wow.
TT1 just barely missed. Oh, the EMPs also missed from Strelok as well.
Strelok cannot go down there.
Get caught. That's a huge chunk of supply, easily 15 supply, dropping just like that. You can see TT1 also continuing to expand in the third.
No.
But great force fields and also a blink on the bottom half to really pick off any units that are flanking. The Colossus is completely protected. And you can see the Vikings try to engage, but it doesn't matter. The Colossus has done its job. And with a lot of units trading at this point, TT1 can afford to lose some of them. Marauders holding as valiantly as they can, but Strelok is losing way too much. And with only medevacs, as great as a unit they are, they need some unit to be supporting.
Wow, and TT1, my God, I can't believe it. He's just doing every single decision right with his units and his decisions. He was behind since Strelok obviously has the third base, but it's just the fact that his harassment, not even harassment, his attacks have been so successful time and time again. This is the perfect time to actually pull back, wait until 3-3 is up, and just say, you don't have enough gas income to keep up with the tech variations that I have. I can keep going back from High Templar Archons into something like Colossus, and you can't keep up. You can't get a Ghost count, you can't keep your medevac count, you can't get a good Viking count. This is the perfect way to do it. Wait until you have a substantial number of one of those you know, extremes, whether it be a lot of Colossus or a lot of Archons, and then push in from there with a beautiful army composition.
TT1 also pushed before Thermal Lance finished, before 3-3 finished. It was like seconds before it, and TT1 still came out ahead on the battle. The blink forward to target down the Vikings and make sure the Colossus has free reign over all of the ground units. You can see Strelok immediately taps out. GG! TT1 takes game number 1 with fantastic timings and pretty good micro.
Not bad.
From Payam.
Not bad. TT1, I mean, the opening was really, really unsafe in my opinion.
One gate double forge.
One gate double forge into no robotics facility, 6 gate, or no, it wasn't that. It was 5 gate. Not the, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from. When you go 1 gate double forge, you're like, well, I need to compensate in the amount of units. He was still getting the robotics facility, but obviously it was too late. If you want to be super safe, you would get cannons preemptively, but that is a very inefficient way of playing. I think your overall EV is pretty bad if you do that. But the fact of the matter is, after he realized that he was ahead in upgrades, he made every decision right and punished his opponent for taking such a fast third and not having the upgrades necessary.
TT1 takes game number 1. Let's take a closer look at a huge portion of that battle. Now, the big thing having the Immortal take the damage, but those upgrades, the charge lots, this is exactly why a lot of Terrans don't enjoy using tanks mid-game, because of charge lots, how they deal with tanks, and the splash honestly works against you.
Okay.
And
we're gonna go back into this. Actually, I wanted to reroute. I'm gonna
play it one more time.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Oh wow! Look at that reverse.
Okay,
it
right?
looks like in a way Protoss is creating Terran.
Okay. you're gonna say I'm crazy here.
You're made in my image.
Frodan, you're gonna say I'm crazy here. Okay. Listen. It's
crazy.
14 minutes 30 seconds in. Okay. I was saying, you know, TT1 was pretty vulnerable around 10 minutes with the Banshees. What if? Pause it. Okay, right here, 14:20. You can come to me now. Actually, camera 3.
Wow.
Okay. Listen. 14:30.
Wow.
Let's get an engineering bay. Let's get +2 building armor. What does that do? Okay. Removes 2 upgrades from all of the Protoss units. Right now, the Protoss is at 2-2. If you get +2 building armor with 3 bunkers, all of a sudden you have 1,200 hit points with them only having a 0-2 armor advantage.
All right, we're got.
Okay, camera 1. Camera 1. Let's go. Let's show all the cameras right now. That is how you stop that push. Now let's go back into the thing. Let's go back in. Replay it. Okay, see this? If you have 3 bunkers placed, think about how much more DPS you would have. 3 bunkers placed.
Well, if you also got the Neo steel frame where you can put 2 more units in each bunker.
See, this is what we're talking about. Get 2 engineering bays in the front there. Get Neo steel frame and +2 building armor. You have yourself a 1-game Frodan. We just solved TVP. Let's move on into the next game.
Let's go to commercial. Thank you to the Kingston HyperX, the people who provide monitor or memory and SSD for NASL Season 3. Game number 2 between Strelok and TT1 will be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.